guys, Brad M73 here, and I am just going to kind of do a really quick video catching up on a couple parts that I have not installed onto the Falcon yet. A couple of these are a couple tubes. I think they're supposed to go on the outside of the cockpit, and then we also have the little lighting bar for, I don't know if you can see that. It might be a little bit out of focus there, but I wanted to get that because I've started doing some painting. Here we have the turret ring. We've got the window all glued in and secured, repositioned properly. And I started this out with a coating of just the Tamiya surface primer. And then I actually went, I went with some Insignia white over top of that. And these cans are really tiny. They're not cheap. They're about $8.50 a piece. I bought these locally, so I don't have to pay shipping. But if you're going to buy those, you probably want to buy a bunch of stuff at once to save on shipping costs. From there, with the Insignia white, the color was pretty bright. And I think I've got some pictures. I'll try to put a picture in with this video just to kind of show you. But it was pretty bright. I also forgot to sand the tips of these down, so I might have to go back over and do this again, or at least kind of reprime and buff the ends there. But this is, you know, the tips of the guns are eventually going to be black. But what I did was I have some, I think it's Deck Tan XF55 Tamiya, which I actually started to slowly. Basically, what I would do is I would mix a little bit of Deck Tan, or I'd thin it out with some isopropyl alcohol. I've been using 91% isopropyl alcohol because the alcohol will thin it. The only downside to it is it evaporates pretty quickly, so you got to use it fast if you do it. But what's really kind of nice is if you're just trying to put a thin layer on something. I've noticed that it'll kind of give like a dirty look to it, and the gun support here in the back is almost a perfect match to the rest of the hull here. So that's pretty cool, and I might actually experiment with kind of like a 50-50 mix of Insignia white and Deck Tan to get, you know, a perfect color here. At least a match to the the plastic that we're using, because I think it's a pretty good color. It's not too dark. It's not too bright. The Insignia white is a very white color. However, I think it will make a good base coat. So once we start painting the hull, I might actually end up doing like a base coat of that Insignia white. But I don't know. That'll be down the road sometime. But I don't have any actual containers of the Insignia white, so I'm going to need to actually buy some. I'll probably buy another thing in Deck Tan and just mix the two together, and then or start doing like dropper or bottle tests and things like that until I get my color exactly the way I want it. So the gun is not finished. I still have a lot of additional weathering to do, but it's pretty. Let's see if I can get up close here. How close I can get, I don't know. Let me bump up the exposure here, because I'm getting a lot of backlight from the window, unfortunately. And yeah, it's just not really coming through very well. But I think it actually turned out pretty good so far. And this back part is a pretty much perfect match to the rest. This is a little bit darker. It's got some more weathering and things like that you might be able to see in the video, but it's still, I think it looks pretty darn good. And for display purposes, once we get this weathered up and dirtied up, it's not really going to make that much of a difference. So anyway, I wanted to show you guys that. Another funny thing is, since I was working on the cockpit, I decided to try to install some of the little cockpit levers. But they are microscopically tiny, and matter of fact, they're so small that I can't even really... I don't want to drop this, but look how tiny that lever is. It is absolutely tiny. It's going to be a little bit out of focus, and I apologize for that. But I set something down on top of it, and I guess just the hardness of what I was setting on top of it, plus the cutting board, caused it to like shoot off into oblivion. And I looked for it for about a half hour, and I finally found it directly below where I was sitting. But I was kind of freaking out because, well, yeah. All right. So I need to find out what episode or what issue the, putting all the little greeblies on the cockpit tube are in. So I'm going to kind of flip through this a little bit. I think it's after 7. Okay, so here's where it's talking about dry brushing some of the controls on the inside of the cockpit, like on the 2 side panels, which I've gone through and done that. I actually did a lot of extra dry brushing and trying to do a little bit of coloration. I'm still not finished. And then as far as the seats go, I still haven't painted the seats because I'm waiting for... I need to get my hot glue gun. I've been looking around for it. I might just have to go and buy a cheap one so that I can stand those up and completely prime them all the way around. And I'm actually going to probably prime these in Insignia white, and then I'm going to use a khaki color. I think is what I'm going to try is like a base coat, but it's going to be more of like a dry brush because I've been looking at pictures of the front seats in the Millennium Falcon, and they looked like that they were once maybe kind of like not a bright white, but they were probably a very light tan color, maybe like a wool color. Because you know how a lot of people, they'll put the wool... I don't know if people do it anymore, but I mean, people used to put the wool seat covers over their seats in their cars. And over time, they kind of get dirty, especially, if you've ever seen them in like farm equipment. Those things get dirty, they get greasy, oily, and that kind of reminds me of how the Millennium Falcon seats look in the movies. And so that's kind of the color that I'm going for instead of like this dark reddish color, which is still a nice color. And I'm sure for when you have those seats under really bright lighting, for filming, that it probably turned out that these, the dark red would show up as more of a tan color. So I don't know. I don't know what the reasons for doing that were. But I have started working on the cockpit, so I'll kind of show that to you here at the end of this video. But I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Okay, and I still need to paint the console, but that's something that I'm waiting for my airbrush for. Still waiting for it. End of July. No update on when it's supposed to get here. They said end of July would be when they would be available. I'm about ready to sneeze here. They said end of July. Didn't come. It's now early August, and they can't give me an ETA. So I don't know. They just said that they're they're on order. So here we're going to paint the little light bar, and let's see. Moving on, where is? Okay, here we go. All right, so we have parts numbered 10 and 11. So 10 goes there, 11 goes there. Okay. So I will cut these. And lo and behold, I think I left my nail file in the other room, but that's all right. I should have these files. So I'm going to cut these 2 guys out. Or maybe they're girls, I don't know. And I will. Okay, let's get this out of the way. I need a bookmark or something. That's what I need. Who wants to send me a bookmark? Okay. So I think this is going to be good enough, actually. So I'm just going to file this down. And you just get the little, the little nub from the sprue off of there. And then I also want to look for any other kind of nubbins or anything like that, which don't really look like it's a big issue. And then I want to take kind of like a finer sandpaper. No, it's cool. I think this might be the finest that I have. And just lightly sand. I like to go in circular motion sometimes too, which kind of helps break up any lines that might occur as a result of the sanding. Actually, I think I got the other side pretty good. Okay, so that's pretty good. This one, however, is a totally different story. I totally feel like I'm doing my nails, and I do not do my fingernails. I totally feel like a woman if I do. I've got crunchy fingernails. I'm a man. Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Who knows? Yeah, see, like the back of this tube here, you can really see like a seam line in it. So I want to kind of file that out. And actually watch it be like, oh no, this is, the way, this is exactly how it's supposed to look. I don't think so. I got to thinking the other day, since so many of these parts, all the little greeblies and things like that on the outside of the kit, since so many of those parts were kit bashed, I wonder how much of like a German Panzer tank that we could actually build if we took all the different parts off the Millennium Falcon. I think that would be kind of funny to see how we can do that, or even if we could. Okay, so we've got two of these pipes, one of which I think goes here. And I do want to test fit these, and that is not even remotely close to fitting. And then the other one goes up like this, which that one should fit just fine. I love how it just like goes nowhere. Like I wonder if there's eventually going to be like another tube that comes out this way. It's just like, here's this random tube that goes nowhere. Okay, so that one's going to not be a problem. This one, however, is. So I'm thinking I should probably. This is like where I need a magnifying glass. Let's see if I can kind of just gently open up that hole a little bit. Yeah. It's just not going to go in there. So I'm going to have to. Gonna have to kind of work on this. And so as you're building your kit, these are the kind of issues that you might run into. And so hopefully with some of these techniques, you can kind of figure out, how to get beyond those, so that you get a nice clean look for your model. It's almost taller than it is wider. Okay, now it's kind of fitting in there. But it's still not, it's just like if I keep this straight up and down, it doesn't really. Let's go back over here. I guess it doesn't really come all the way over there either. So, okay, well, if that's the way it's going to be, then that's the way it's going to be. And I have a... I guess I'll just use a piece of plastic here to put some super glue on. Hopefully, I don't know, it might eat through this plastic. And if it gets on the cutting board, it's no big deal. That's why I bought it. Oh, I'm like, where did I put the pieces? Okay, so that's going to be like, I just want to take a little bit and put on the back side of this, like so. I want to put it in the hole first and then align it like that. So that should be pretty good there. And then my second piece, which is going to go here. And again, I just kind of want to see how this is going to line up so I can see where I want to put the glue. So I'll put it on the back of this. Put it on the head of that. Just kind of put a dollop of glue on there. And try to line it up with the hole first. I know I'm... There we go. And push it down in there. There we go. Okay. All right, so I'll let that sit there for a bit. And if we need to, might just take a little bit of super. Might not quite work as well as I'm intending it to. Well, let's just try this instead. Okay. Sometimes I think I've got these really, really super sharp toothpicks here. Great, I just broke it. So I'm thinking if I kind of have a wider tip on it, maybe it'll look a little bit better there. Okay, and those pieces are on there. I can definitely tell they're not going to go anywhere. So we've got our pieces on the bottom here, and I'm just gonna let it sit on its top. Oh, actually, while I'm here, might as well take this off, and I'll let you see some of the painting that I've done on the inside here. Hopefully you guys can see the weathering that I've done, like over here, down in the center console there, over on the right panel, and also on the front. And I think I'm going to put a little bit more color here in the front, maybe some rust and things like that. So I'm not done with this yet, but I just wanted to show that to you guys really quickly. And I'm trying to think what else I need to do. I'm going to set that upside down over there for now and move this out of the way. Also, there have been some Japanese photos that have come out that show the front end of this cockpit being in 3 pieces, and they still got it wrong. Like, this nose piece is wrong. This window shouldn't come down as far. Neither should these 2 side front windows. But yeah, the 2 side windows need to be a bit narrower, and it's one of the things that a lot of people who have been doing this kit have been, kind of yelling about because, well, it's wrong. They're right here in front of me. Okay, so this piece we want to keep in the sprue, and they tell you to make sure that you file it before you take it out of the sprue. So I'm just going to gently file down the little mold marking here. And I'm not using very much pressure at all. Actually, I'm almost using none. See, that's getting there. I remember when I was a kid, when I used to build models, when I would go to file something, I would literally take my dad's wood file and I'd be like, I really wouldn't take too much care in actually filing those things down. So I'm just trying to get some of this extra modeling stuff out of my way so I can, don't know. It's going to come off. No. Because I want to be able to file. Okay, there we go. I want to be able to file around it. Hopefully I'm getting this on camera here. The bottom of it I'm not so concerned with, and actually the right side I don't have to be nearly as concerned with because it's going to kind of be back in the background. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to install this yet, but let's see, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I have no idea what I'm going to do. Now my plan is to kind of paint the background, all the walls, kind of like a very standard gray color. So I don't know if I'm going to use I might end up using medium gray. I'm not exactly sure. I'm still trying to research some colors to use. I might end up using a mixture of a few. But what I want to do for this is I am going to use a medium gray, and I want to paint the centerpiece, just the center portion of that. So I got this little tray. Actually, I went to a pizza place and I got some carryout, and I decided to get a salad. And they had these nice little plastic, like flat plastic containers, which are kind of pretty good for using to mix paint. Only two problems: they have like two little air holes in them, so I have to be kind of careful not to get too close to those. But I want to put that right there in the middle, and then I also have some paint brushes. And I'm just going to go ahead. I shouldn't need a whole lot. And just paint this on. I shouldn't even really need a primer. This is the bottom, so it's not really the bottom is not really that important. And of course, all of these are flat colors as well. All right, so we've got that finished. And we'll let that dry for a moment. And I find that this tester's paint does dry pretty quickly, so you might want to be aware of that ahead of time. I'm going to take just a tiny little drip of isopropyl alcohol to thin out my brush here. Try to get some. Okay. Just trying to get some off to the side. Doesn't have a lot of color in it. Okay. Now, I'm going to take white. This is XF2. It's flat white. You could use a gloss white if you want more of a glossy color. But looking at pictures of the Millennium Falcon with the light turned on and off in the from the movie, it almost looks like it's frosted. Like the two lighted pieces are actually frosted. So I just decided I'm going to just use flat white. It's not that big of a deal. Okay. I kind of want to put quite a lot on here, so that I can make the paint surface kind of bubble out a little bit. And you might not be able to see it very clearly, but I am putting quite a bit of paint on there. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because when the paint dries, I want it to, dry in a fairly even coat. So, okay. So, I don't want like brush strokes and things like that on this piece. So, let's see if you can see how much paint that I've got on that, and then we can come back and look at it another time to see how it turned out, I guess. And then I don't really think there's too much else to do yet. Okay, I've got those in there. Oh, let's get this paintbrush clean. And most of this alcohol is already dried up. And I mean, a bottle like this is maybe like $2. Might not even be that much. I know it's flipping dirt cheap. And I was up at the store the other night and I thought, I should probably buy another bottle because I'm going to be going through that stuff in droves. But I don't know. I can wait. I'm probably good for a couple months. So once this, I'm done filming for this, I'll actually take my paintbrush and just, clean the tip off a little bit more with water. Just to finish cleaning it off. And then the last thing I'm going to do once this is dry, completely dry, is I'm going to take either a flat aluminum or a titanium silver. I've been using the titanium silver a lot, but either one. And I'm just going to do a very soft dry brush right over the center gray part to kind of give it an additional used and metallic look so that it hopefully will stand out a little bit more. And that I think, well, oh no, I remember. I want to show you guys one other thing. And that is how I am choosing to deal with the bench seat here. I have the bench, hopefully you guys can see this okay. I have the bench going around here, but it's not, if it's pushed all the way down and possibly glued in place, the seat backings are not really all that consistent on the way around. I haven't glued this last piece, sorry, I haven't glued this last piece in yet because I was actually backfilling it with putty. And for you guys that don't know too much about it, I'm using the Squadron Products fast drying white putty. It's basically a all around putty. You can use it with a variety of things, wood and plastics and things like that. But Squadron Products, it wasn't cheap. I think it was like $8 or $9 for this. I can't remember exactly, but I remember thinking it wasn't wasn't too inexpensive. So I'm going to get out again another piece of sandpaper. Actually, I'm going to get something a little bit more coarse. Actually, is this even more coarse? I think this is the coarsest that I have. And I just want to take the back, and I did sand this a little bit last night, but I got down to a part that wasn't fully dried yet. So I've let it cure overnight, and I just want to kind of lightly sand the backing again. And you can see it coming off here. And I got this really nice sandpaper. It actually has like a plastic backing. So these things are completely washable. So if I want to get rid of all this stuff, I can just go and wash it. And I've got almost brand new sandpaper again, which is kind of nice. So as I sand, I'm kind of getting down here to the plastic. Now because this is a curved seat back, I kind of need to start applying more pressure to the sides, but I want to just make sure that I get a very nice smooth backing all the way around. I can use a little bit more pressure. Hello. And essentially I want to sand it enough so that I can see the square on the back, and that way I know that I've done enough sanding. And I want to kind of put pressure on the points where I need to sand. So like the corner up here or this other side, I want to make sure that I put pressure on that. Maybe I'll try the coarser stuff here. That's a little better. And as you can see, you can start to see the plastic around the edges there. And I'll just do the same thing for the other side. It's all right. Oh, that one's almost done. Okay. And it's pretty much going to look like that. So now we have like a nice, perfectly flat back. We can reprime this, and or you know, once we paint it, we can just paint the whole thing. But I'm not going to stand for this color right here. It just does not look right. So I'm going to go through this with some isopropyl alcohol. Hopefully this is acrylic paint, and it'll just thin that right out, and I shouldn't have too much of a problem there. And it looks like I might have gotten a little bit of extra putty here on the side. So, almost, there we go. Now it's still not perfect because, I got all these rings. The seat is actually supposed to stop right here at the end of this, the bunk here. And I actually have it going around a little bit further, which really does bug me. But I'm thinking about filling the rest of this in with putty, and then filing it down, sanding it down, and then maybe just putting, I don't know, I don't really have any parts that I could use. I'll probably just leave it flat. I mean, that's really all I can do. There should be a kind of like a little metal back panel with some buttons and things like that on it, but I'm just not going to be able to do it. The other option that I have is to just buy a new couch from Shapeways. That is something I am seriously considering at this point. It's frustrating to have to spend another, because they're not cheap. They're like, I think for the couch alone with the back, it might be $30, something like that. Might even be more than that. So it's not inexpensive to do that. So I am disappointed that they did not get that part of the kit correct. And it looks like my walls are coming undone here, so I'm going to have to fix that somehow. There we go. Need to put some more screws in there. But, it's still a work in progress. I'm just kind of going as I have time. I'll have to set these aside so I can wash them later. Uh-oh. Okay, sorry about that little interruption. So yeah, I was just saying that I'm going to set my sandpaper aside. I'm using my headset here for a mic. And I got a package delivered here. Okay, so you can actually see, if we look at this before we go, because I'm actually going to have to go and do some other filming. The paint's not quite dried, so I'm going to let this dry some more. We'll come back in a future episode, take a look at it, especially when we start, painting everything, and you'll be able to see. But it actually looks pretty good right now. I can see that it's going to get a fairly consistent dry, and then if I really have to, I can still take some really light sandpaper and buff it so that it looks a little bit glossy, but not, I want it to be more flat. So that's, not really too much happening in this episode, but I really appreciate you guys watching. If you're having fun, following along with me, please do not forget to hit that like button, because it helps me out tremendously, more than you would think. And if you haven't done so, please subscribe for this and many more videos. I'm Brad M73. Bye for now, guys.